Hi, I'm Rachel. Welcome to my channel, Bricoleuse, where I share techniques and tricks I've learned from over 25 years working as a costume craftsperson. This video is the third episode of my interview series, Costume Professionals, Making a Living, Making Costumes. Today I'm talking with Rob O'Brien of ResirWrecked's Costumes, a supplier to the haunt industry. If you're wondering, what is the haunt industry? It's a niche of the entertainment business devoted to haunted attractions and horror events. In addition to running his own business selling costumes to haunters, Rob joined the creative team this Halloween season at SeaWorld Orlando's howl-o-scream attraction. Let's get to our Q&A. Rob, thank you so much for joining us. To begin, could you tell my audience about how ResirWrecked's Costumes came to be?
Okay, so the idea for ResirWrecked's Costumes came about over 20 years ago. I was working at Universal Studios. I was on their Halloween team for Halloween Horror Nights. So I was part of the distressing team. We would be responsible for painting, distressing, shredding, dyeing. Halloween Horror Nights is a huge haunt event. Over 500 actors. I don't remember how many haunted houses we had that year, several live stage shows. As I was stressing, and I remembered very, very vividly, beautiful, brand new white tuxedos. I was putting acrylic paint on them and having them all moldy and gooey looking. I thought, this would be an interesting thing to sell. And of course, the first thing I thought was kind of in the retail range. It's like, I bet people would like this. This is kind of cool. With the pandemic, well, I had a lot of time as we did, and I was furloughed and then later laid off from Walt Disney World from corporate costuming. One of the things I was doing to pass time and relieve stress and to connect with the outside world, a friend of mine by the name of Alan Hops, he owns Stiltby Studios, and he is haunt famous. Yes, haunt famous is a thing. He was basically going live almost every night of the week, sculpting masks and monsters and putting stuff together and just kind of like building up this community. At one point, he said, "Hey, if anybody's looking to get into this business, I'll totally give you ideas and tell you where to start." So I took him up on it. And that was like January, February of this year. He basically laid out like 4 or 5 product lines. It's like, these are product lines that I don't see at the trade shows. Haunts need them. Haunts will buy them. Go. That's sort of where I am now. Last month, I did my first trade show, which is the Trans World Halloween, Christmas, and escape room. So it's big event. Really just kind of started learning, like, what do you need? What do you want? And just starting to make some of those connections, which are so important. So that's the big one. Then regionally, there are a whole bunch of conventions. So again, that's horror fans, home haunters, haunt actors, some professionals, that sort of thing. And I'm getting ready to go do one at the end of next month in Milwaukee, and that's the Midwest Haunters Convention. And so that is less of an order writing show and more of a cash and carry show. Same thing at Transworld, I had a vendor's booth. I will have a slightly smaller one, which is hard to believe, at Midwest Haunters Convention. I'm just kind of throwing it out there and seeing what works, because there aren't a lot of like retail data matrix for Halloween. So I can't go in and look at some research and go, oh, this is what's trending this year, because I won't know it's trending yet. A lot of that will rely on what movies get released, what movies get adopted, and then what haunters seem to want and what audiences want. One of the very cool things as a new person was watching the established vendors get to reacquaint themselves with their customers, because 2020, the trade show had been canceled. So it was really nice to see people, having those moments with their friends and their customers.
I'm wondering about the calendar year for the haunt industry. For example, when I worked fabric retail, We would put out novelty holiday prints 6 months ahead of the occasion so our customers would have time to make their projects. Does the haunt industry have a similar adjusted schedule?
I talked a little bit about the Trans World Halloween show, which was just in May, which was actually 2 months later than it normally happens. It usually happens in March because the vendors are there showing samples and prototypes of their work, and that is an order writing show. And so people are there, they're writing orders for that product, and then the vendors have until the agreed amount time to get it produced. Halloween Horror Nights, they start early September. So it creeps back earlier and earlier. So they get like almost all of September and all of October as their season. There are professional haunts that are open year round. It could just be extended weekends. It could be seasonal, but year round. They will do Valentine's Day haunts. They will do Christmas haunts now with Krampus or evil elves. Really cool kind of offshoots from just Halloween.
Do people attend haunt conventions in costume?
Absolutely, yeah. So pretty much all the others. So the Trans World Halloween is, like I said, very much a trade show, very much a business show. Whereas all the other conventions, yep, people are dressing in their haunt character. It's kind of more like a cosplay convention or any of those sorts of cons, just more geared towards horror.
Can you talk about the relationship between haunted attractions and the theater?
The haunt industry, much like theater, spans everything from home haunter, I have a garage, I have a front yard, I want to decorate it, all the way to the pro haunter that is doing it as a business, and it's a 365 business, or it is a fall business that is large enough that it then is their main line of work, and everything in between. All different budgets, all different strategies of how they approach things. I parallel a lot of it again with theater because you've got everything from community theater, upstart groups, all the way to professional, regional, and Broadway. Now, not all haunts think the same. Not everybody is story based. You know, they are trope to trope or movie theme to movie theme or whatever. But in my mind, the ones that I like is when I walk into a story, even if I don't know the whole story.
Do you think the pandemic will become a horror theme in haunts in 2021?
I've seen chatter for like the last year or so, like, are people going to touch the pandemic? And I'm of the mind of no, don't. People are coming to escape because, we, prior to, this pandemic, there have been past pandemics, and there are certainly costumes and character ideas of the plague doctor and people with leprosy and like other pandemic sort of things. So it's nothing new in the entertainment horror aspect, but just right now, let's not.
How did you get into this? Haunts, but also costumes in general.
I've always liked costumes. Like growing up, I would always do something for Halloween and then something whenever it was time to give away like do the candy thing. I would take that on. I would decorate the door. Not a huge house decoration, but just there'd be something a little extra, maybe a fog machine tucked in the bushes, maybe some interesting lighting. So I think it comes like from my theater background and just liking an excuse to dress up. My educational background, I have a bachelor's in English, speech, and theater secondary education. So I taught high school, which means you do everything, including, the costumes and possibly the set design and the props and everything. Then went on to get an MFA in directing. Most of my costuming has been self-taught, observed, pester somebody who knows how to do it, try it, fail. Now, the costumes at Disney are magnificent and crazy and detailed. It's like, I can't do that. Like I know how to get a garment produced. I know how to get that done. I have no idea how they do some of the stuff that they do.
Can you share with us some of your technological innovations in terms of haunt product development?
As far as looking at technology, I had mentioned that I came from Disney. We were spending a lot of time sublimating fabrics in order to get the right color fabric or the right fabric that we needed for a particular costume. I'm bringing that into the haunt industry. As somebody who has worked in a haunted house and has done haunted house laundry, I know that like yucky t-shirts during the season, they all kind of turn the same color. I thought, well, I know how to not do that. So I had a sublimated print designed to print directly onto the fabric before we turn it into a t-shirt. So I'm trying to help solve some of the problems. They can wash this and it's not going to stain their laundry. It's also not going to turn the same color as everything else. You know, the show that I went to was prototyping. Well, this is some 3D printing that I've been working on. These are 3D printed. They're only in different colors because that was the filament that was behaving. And then I am hopefully going to figure out how to cast these. The mold will probably be a silicone mold, but I want to cast them in a rigid foam. So it's a lightweight and sturdy foam. And you probably can't tell, but she has on some leather gloves. I will then shred the ends of those leather gloves and slide that spike through there. So she has these claws. Well, the orange jumpsuit is my affordable solution for a straitjacket. A normal straitjacket, they're like a good one, is like $300 to $500. I can do this for like around $150. And so like if you have to do a large room of people in restraints, have your icon character, your boss, your big character in the straitjacket, put everybody else in something like this.
And I gather you're bringing innovations in safety to haunted attractions as well. Is that correct?
This is an industry, as far as the haunt industry, that really is kind of ripe for educating on some of this stuff, which will be a challenge. Not everything that I'm producing is like, oh, cool, spooky gore, blah. But being able to talk about the jumpsuit, the way that I designed it, I have safety built into the thing. I first helped out Fear City in Chicago when they were around. A volunteer brought in these beautiful straitjackets, but they were made out of a lightweight muslin. It's like, well, the actors are going to shred that. Instead of having the actors pull on the sleeves of the straitjacket, I made sure the restraint belt was inside the sleeve, so the actor holds onto that belt, and they're tugging away at that belt rather than ripping out their arm's eye. Velcro in the sleeves, so they can get out of it if they need to. It's telling the story of straitjacket, but with like the safety built in. The vests that have the gel packs in there that you put in the freezer or the fridge, because you know these costumes can sometimes be very big and very heavy. Depending on where you're haunting, it can also be very, very hot. An actor will kind of, if they get hurt or maybe get hit or bumped into, they'll take that as a badge of honor. No actor is going to take heat stroke as a badge of honor. Is it a must-have? It depends on the situation. But I want to make sure that I'm the one going, you know what, you need to look at this for your haunt and for your build crew. A lot of times people are building these haunts right during the heat of the summer. So being able to cool down the body core is really important.
There's a lot of advocacy work happening in theater costuming right now regarding pay equity and a living wage. Does that sort of struggle extend to the haunt industry?
People have no idea how much things cost to make. And I've discovered this in every level of this industry. Knowing how to sew is like having a pickup truck or knowing how to play the piano. So it's like, oh, you sew. It's like, no, I make costumes. Oh, can you have my pants? No. So after the trade show, on a lot of online forums I was following, it's like, hey, folks, what didn't you see there that you wanted to see? And oftentimes it's like, oh, well, we wanted something unique but cheap. Like, we want to see like full character costumes, but nothing $300. Like, um, do you know how much it costs to make stuff? Like the cost of plywood, which is insane, kind of also mirrors the cost of fabric. Like, and that's just the fabric. That's not the labor and skill and just time to develop and make. That issue is so universal. There was an executive at Disney taking a tour of our workroom. He was kind of shocked and he's like, isn't there a machine to make this stuff? It's like, yes, this room. You put fabric in that side, a garment comes out that side. Everybody has this fast fashion mindset where they can go to Target and get that for $50. Yes, Target was able to get it, but they were able to buy 20,000 of them and send them to every Target in the world. When you're talking about these handmade garments, we can get tiny economies of scale. The best way that I was able to kind of explain it to them, it's like, have you ever bought a wedding gown? Yes. Not cheap, right? No. This is a room full of wedding gowns. It's like, I need and want to make a living. I need to pay my bills.
Rob's cat Jazzy interrupted our conversation at sporadic intervals. You may have already spotted her tail in prior footage. Here are a few outtakes of Jazzy pulling focus like a pro.
Is that all you're getting is her tail? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's cool.
Well, and also right here is my sewing machine. So she is my supervisor. Like anytime like I'm at the sewing machine or I have to put on the glasses to thread, she's like right there. and and see, to me, it now, okay, are you going to knock over my webcam cord? Is that what you're aiming to do, princess? Sleeps all day and now it's like, I must have attention right now.
Rob, thank you for talking with me today, and may you have a spooky Halloween season and an amazing howl-o-scream at SeaWorld Orlando. You can find Rob's products at ResirWrecked's.com. This has not been a paid promotion.